My name is Harper, and I'm a 42-year-old housewife working part-time. My husband, Keith, is 48 and works for a company. We have an 18-year-old daughter, Sophia, who is a high school student. Though Keith and I have been married for nearly 20 years, there has been a persistent tension in our home for quite some time. When Sophia was little, the three of us used to spend a lot of time together. However, since she started high school, Keith has been going out by himself more frequently. He has completely stopped participating in Sophia's school events and club activities. I am the one who has to drive Sophia to her badminton tournaments and practice matches, which are often far away. No matter how much I ask Keith for help, he always brushes me off saying, "I'm busy with work." Looking after the child is the mother's job, isn't it? Sophia, too, is astonished by her father's behavior. Other kids' fathers enthusiastically support them, but our dad doesn't seem to care. Sophia isn't particularly fond of Keith, who never helps with child rearing or housework, but always has complaints. Even when my part-time job gets busy and I come home late, Keith never prepares dinner. Instead, he complains, "What time do you think it is? I'm starving here. I work too, you know. You could at least prepare dinner." This often leads to arguments. Lately, Sophia has been helping with dinner preparations, which has been a great relief. The initial reason I started working part-time was because Keith asked me to. I had planned to start working when Sophia grew up, but Keith's habit of buying unnecessary things pushed me to start working again when Sophia was 1. Keith loves cars and constantly buys new ones, even though he doesn't have a high income. He spends money without thinking, often paying for his co-workers when they go out drinking. He comes home drunk, boasting about treating everyone. Recently, there have been fewer drinking parties, so he's not treating others as much. But he still complains about not having enough money. Keith works for a company that doesn't pay well, and his spending habits make it hard to save. I wanted to save money for Sophia's education and to buy our own house, but now we are barely getting by. Most of my part-time income goes towards payments on the luxury car Keith bought, a large hybrid minivan, which is too big for our 3-person family. He decided to buy it without considering Sophia's or my opinion. Before this minivan, we had a gas-guzzling giant SUV. I got angry several times because of its poor fuel efficiency. Keith, who never goes to the mountains or the sea, bought it because it was trendy. He said, "Now it's okay even in heavy snow," even though we live in an area where it only snows about once every 5 years. When he bought the current minivan, he said, "This time it's a hybrid, so the fuel efficiency is good. Also, a lot of people can ride in a minivan." When Sophia was in junior high school, many of the parents of the badminton club members drove minivans. Sophia and I had a conversation about it. Indeed, a minivan can accommodate many people and even allow for changing clothes. It's nice, but our car is large and the interior is cramped. My husband, Keith, occasionally checks in on my conversations with our daughter, Sophia. Recently, he bought a sports car before the SUV. "It was a childhood dream of mine," he said. "It's every man's fantasy." I asked him, "Can't you wait until Sophia grows up? This car's child seat is a pain. It's a car I can only drive now." He responded, "We don't use the child seat every day, so it's okay." He might not mind since he won't be transporting Sophia, but it was hard for me. The 2-door car was difficult to use and the fuel economy was terrible. Sophia was still at an age where she needed a child seat, and getting in and out was a struggle. If only Keith would consult me. But he decides on his own, buying on impulse without considering the payments. I don't understand why he buys things he can't afford on his salary. In the end, I had to pay the loan with the money I earned from my part-time job. Every time my hours at the part-time job get longer, it's because of his purchases. When we bought the current minivan, Keith and I had a quarrel. "Next time we buy a car, consult us too. You can't decide on your own." He replied, "I should be the one to decide. I'm the one who drives it the most." I said, "You can decide, but at least let me know what kind of car it will be. That's all I ask." "Okay, I understand. So next time, I can decide if I consult with you first." At his words, I started feeling anxious. "You're not thinking of buying the next car already, are you?" I asked. "I don't know. I didn't say anything, did I?" His answer seemed unnatural. "I'm paying almost all of the loans for the car you're driving with my part-time job earnings. I can't pay any more than this." "I'm also paying for the down payment," Keith retorted, looking dissatisfied. "It's not a down payment. It's the money from trading in the old car. Then it's the same as what I paid. It could be, Keith conceded. About a month later, Keith brought up the topic again, looking guilty. Actually, I bought a new car. I was so stunned that I didn't even feel angry. This time it's an electric vehicle, so we don't need gasoline. With the current high gasoline prices, it's perfect. Electricity is expensive too. We don't have solar power, so are there any advantages to electric cars? It doesn't emit carbon dioxide, so it's good for the environment. I couldn't tell if he was just easily swayed by trends or simply doing what the car dealer told him. It's too much. How much did you pay for it? A loan of $750 per month. I need your part-time job earnings again. $750 a month? That's all of my part-time earnings. Do I have to work for your car? You'll be driving it too. Now that Sophia's club activities are over, I won't be using the car as much. Our daughter, a high school senior, has retired from her club activities and won't need the car anymore. I wanted to save my part-time earnings for her college education, but now my plan has been completely derailed. We need money for Sophia's college education too. Is it okay to buy such an expensive car? I asked Keith. He asked me back, are you okay? Sure enough, due to the recent incident, I started to harbor doubts about my husband. Am I really okay living with this man? I am filled with uncertainty. Keith doesn't consider Sophia's college expenses or our retirement funds at all. I want to discuss it with someone, but my parents are no longer around. I don't want to worry Sophia, so I can't talk to her. At that moment, I remembered a senior from work who got divorced a few years ago and is now single-handedly raising 2 children. Despite being my junior by a couple of years, they perform better than other employees. I'm not considering a divorce yet, but I want to consult him. The next day during lunch, I asked him to listen to my story. After hearing my situation, the senior said, I had small children and my wife didn't work, so I was able to make the decision quickly. I felt a bit better after talking, but honestly, I was still unsure. Do you think you could live with Sophia just on your part-time pay? He asked. That's impossible. I can't make ends meet unless I'm a full-time employee. I thought so. We both fell silent. However, as I confided in my senior, I felt much better after just consulting. From then on, we talked about various things, considering my future life. After a while, my husband's new car was delivered. The smell of a new car is really great, Keith said. Yeah. Why are you angry? Be happy, the new car is here. Good for you. You're no fun. Fine, I'll celebrate by myself, he said, starting to drink beer. You're taking it easy, aren't you? I retorted. Say whatever you like, he replied, unusually pleased probably from the joy of the new car. The next day, I had to work overtime and came home late. Sophia had prepared dinner, which was a great help. When I came home, my husband was again happily drinking beer. You're working late. Good job. I felt irritated at my husband, who was meddling with me. I have to work hard for your new car, don't I? Feeling annoyed, I made a sarcastic remark. Thanks for earning the extra money. It gets so bothersome. Why don't you just stop the payments? I was angry that he'd say such a thing when I was working late, but I held back from complaining and decided to really stop the payments. The next day, I withdrew all the money from the account used for the car loan. This meant the next payment wouldn't go through. I was looking forward to seeing what kind of face my husband would make. I managed to withdraw the money in time before the next due date, and a reminder notice arrived the next month. I hid the letters so my husband wouldn't find them. Of course, the reminder came again the following month and the month after, but I was able to hide it successfully each time. Around the 4th month after stopping the payments, I received a different document. It was sent by certified mail, and I thought this was the final reminder. When my husband came home, I threw the packet with the document at him. Some important document arrived for you. In a panic, Keith unwrapped the package, shouting, What the hell? You haven't been making car payments for 3 months. The letter stated that the car was to be repossessed due to repeated failure to respond to payment reminders. He would now have to give up his beloved car. But you were the one who said to stop the payments. Well, that was just something I said in the heat of the moment when I was drunk. Who would really stop payments? Keith exclaimed. I was so annoyed because you would tell me thanks for earning some pocket money while I was working so hard. Becoming more defiant, he started to say even worse things. You always complained every time I bought a car. I should be able to buy a car if I want to. I didn't complain about you buying a car. You can buy one, but you should pay for it yourself, I retorted. Struck by my blow, Keith was at a loss for words. We're going to need money for Sophia's education soon. Think about the future. I was shaking as he listened to me, and finally he snapped. If you can't listen to me, get out. We're getting a divorce. Hearing the word divorce made even me falter. Okay, I'll leave. Let's let Sophia decide what she wants to do. Before I finished speaking, Sophia emerged from her room. I'm obviously going with Mom. It's too much trouble to stay with a father who doesn't do anything. She had heard our argument and seemed to understand what was happening. Sophia, who had already prepared her luggage, surprised me. Well, I'll be leaving then. I'll come back for the rest of my stuff later. I grabbed only the essentials and left the house. Hey, where are you going? Keith's voice suddenly took on a sad tone. Turning back, I said, we'll properly discuss the divorce process later. I don't mean alimony, but you have to pay child support. We left the house, leaving Keith with his tearful face. Mom, you were so cool, just as expected. But what are we going to do now? Don't worry, I had prepared for this, thinking it might happen. I had expected this to happen ever since Keith told me to stop paying the car loan. Also, I had about $3,000 from not paying the car loan payments for 4 months. We stayed in a motel for about 3 days, but I had already arranged for an apartment. We were able to move to the apartment on the 4th day after leaving the house. I'm sorry for making you live in a place like a motel. I wouldn't want to live there forever, but it was actually fun because we already had a place to move to, Sophia said cheerfully, which relieved me a little. It's going to be just the two of us from now on, but I'll do my best. I'll help with everything too. Let's do our best together. We had to go back to our old house to get the rest of our stuff. We also had to finalize the divorce. I contacted Keith before returning to the old house. I asked a lawyer who was recommended by a senior at work to accompany us because I was afraid that Keith might become violent if it was just Sophia and me. The lawyer was an expert in divorce cases and had helped the senior during his divorce. It was expensive, but we could afford it. When we arrived, even the appearance of a lawyer surprised Keith, who said, "You're really okay with getting a divorce? I won't forgive you if you come back and apologize later." He glared at me as he threatened me. It's okay, I won't say such things. Even if you are working part-time, leave this place. You won't be able to make a living. You don't have to worry about me. Just sign the divorce papers quickly. Fine, I'll sign it. Just shut up. I will take full child support considering your income. Looking at the child support calculation, Keith started shouting. Why the hell do I have to pay child support? I won't pay a single penny to a daughter who wants to leave home. Being told this, I felt grateful for having a lawyer. The lawyer convinced Keith that child support is not paid to me but given to our daughter as a duty of a father. But there's still a chance that Keith won't pay the child support. Therefore, arrangements were made to deduct it from his salary if he doesn't pay. If you're just a part-timer, but you've got a lawyer, how prestigious. Where did you get that money? I forgot to tell you, I was made a full-time employee. I'm making about double my old salary, so don't worry. Keith seemed speechless. Honestly, becoming a full-time employee gave me the courage to finally get a divorce. And as a full-time employee, I could also get a housing allowance, so I could afford to rent an apartment. Due to advice from my senior colleague, I had been looking for an apartment I could move into immediately. The decision to bring a lawyer to the discussions was also advice from my senior. And sure enough, the child support from Keith stopped coming in almost immediately. It was good to have a lawyer come with me and set up the procedure to deduct it from his salary. Despite all the chaos, Sophie was able to get into her first choice university. I have to work even harder for her tuition. Working for a car loan that I don't even use is different. This has a sense of purpose. From now on, for Sophia's sake, I plan to live happily together.